We are Howard and Fran Joslin. We have been married a little over 13 years. We were both widowed at age 46. We had a mutual friend named Lori who talked to each one of us separately at different times, kept telling us would give us reports on each other and then tell us that we were saying pretty much the same thing.
I got on Facebook, became a friend. We communicated a lot. I was on vacation, so I had a lot of spare time. Within 8 days, we were talking about marriage, and that was before we actually met each other in person or had our first date. And that all happened the end of July, and by Thanksgiving that year, we were married.
The name of our ministry is Authenticity Book House, and we picked that name because we believe it's very important to be authentic and tell real life stories and be honest about where you've been. So we're very honest about our story and the grief that we went through and the struggles, because we feel like that helps people know that, first of all, that we're just normal human beings, but also to show them that the Lord can really work miracles in your lives. We write simplified materials, shortened versions, because our target audience is rural pastors around the world who have no opportunity to get more education than most of them 5th to 7th grade. And so our books are small and they're simple, and we hope to train them as well as, at least close to as well as, a seminary trained pastor or at least a Bible college education.
I wrote a book after my first wife died, which was a compilation of all of the emails that I'd sent to families and friends during her cancer and death. And so I had a desire to write more books. So I began to think, how could I write more books and have a better experience? And so I had a real heart for helping authors, and also from a missions background, really wanted to get resources to pastors overseas, because again, a lot of pastors have very few resources, if any, commentaries in their language.
We were married about a year and a half. We decided to take a big blended family vacation. This was the first vacation we'd all taken together. There was one day when everybody could be there at the same time, and so we took pictures and did a lot of hiking, and then some of the kids found these boulders that were out in the middle of water, and so slowly everybody climbed over, jumped up to the big boulder, and then a couple of them started jumping from the high boulder down to the smaller one. I decided I could do what they did so that I wouldn't get wet. And I took a leap thinking I was going to land beautifully and everything would be fine. I woke up to water just crossing my face and thought to myself, how did I get here? I was completely submerged in water. His second son reached in and pulled me out. I shattered my ankle and was in the hospital for 9 days, got pneumonia. But ironically, that was the beginning of ABH.
I graduated in 2006, and this was a few years later. I always had the goal of going back and getting a PhD. But with Fran's broken ankle and lots of kids at home, the stress kind of got to me. I lost my cool a few times. Fran wanted things like bread and water, and I needed to study Hebrew grammar. So we had a lot of conflict, and I eventually decided that fall that I was going to have to drop out and at least pause that dream. And then that January, I was taking my daughter back to Colorado to college. Driving through New Mexico, I just was dreaming and thinking about how I could get more books published. So I also thought about the pastors overseas that have very few resources to prepare their sermons. And so I thought, well, I have a thesis that I did. I had a lot of papers in seminaries that I did. So perhaps I could quickly wrap those together into a book and publish them and get those out to pastors overseas. That kind of began the thought of ABH.
So we decided to start with an event where we invited people to come and hear what we were doing. And I sat down at my kitchen table and started working, planning that event. Before I knew it, I started working 40 hours a week. Then we visited a building that housed nonprofit ministries, and we both at the same time saw this organization that offered women help in starting nonprofit organizations. And so we kind of looked at each other and said, if Fran became the president, maybe we could get our 501c3 under them. It would happen faster. At that point, had no intention in running the thing. I just was going to help and take over the title. Well, God had different plans, and I feel like he tricked me into taking the reins of the ministry. I ended up being the one that had the time to do the work, and we would go visit people, and Howard would tell them everything about the ministry, and I realized I'm carrying the title, but I'm not acting like the president. If I'm going to carry the title, I need to take on the whole thing. And so we had another conversation, and that's kind of when I started running it. We started out doing regular sized books, I think 5x7, 5x9, something like that. And we had some of those books. We went to this huge pastors conference in Bangkok in 2016. I took those books with me, and then we had started doing a few of these smaller books. They were actually smaller than these books at that time. We had a table, we were going to offer what we have, and I laid my books on the table, the large ones, just kind of laid them out. And for some reason, I kept the small ones in my suitcase under the table, left for the evening, and came back. My books have disappeared from the table, every last one of them, overnight. I had no larger books at all. So I remembered I had these little books in the suitcase. I pulled those out. Of course, I guarded them with my life. But that's all we had that week. And I was quite embarrassed that I had nothing to really offer. But as the week went on and we met different people and talked to different people, and I looked at all of the other organizations who had tables and big displays, and I saw they all had books. And I sat there literally at my table and I said, Lord, why are we doing what everybody else is doing? Why are we creating materials if all these other people are too? And I wasn't angry, but I was confused, and I just didn't understand why would God call us to something everybody else is doing? We had an opportunity to meet with a guy who meets with nonprofit organizations, and he kind of gives them direction. And we began to realize that the experience I had in Bangkok was actually a foreshadowing of what God wanted us to do. And this guy who we met with said, the small books are working, stick to the small book and keep your grief ministry. Everything else needs to go. And so we ended up just really narrowing down the vision. We really, in order to accomplish all of these tasks, we really need help in the office. We've I think, doubled our writers this year, which doubles the manuscripts, which doubles the editing, which doubles everything we do. And so in order to keep up with all the projects, plan all the trips, plan events, we really need staff. We're in desperate need of more writers. It has taken us 10 years, not counting the bigger books that we started with, but we only have 6 or 8 books that we're working with at the moment. At that rate, it's going to take us forever, and we're not going to live that long. So we need a lot of authors to get passionate about what we do and really help us with the experience that they have, the knowledge they have, and to write books for us. We need editors. We could use more volunteer editors. We need more translators, partners in ministry. Other missionaries are great partners for us because they speak the language. They know other people who speak the language, and they can help get translators to help.
Plus, the missionaries become our customers. They're the ones with the contacts on the ground. Either the missionaries or the local pastors. They know people that can help provide this. We can send the books to, or they can print the books in their own country, that type of thing. So we need people on the ground to help get the resources out and let them know the resources are available.
We need church involvement, churches who even want to help go and train, because we can't go 2 or 3 times a year to train. So we'd love a training team. We need churches that are willing to partner with us in financially. We need churches that'll pray for us. We need prayer as much as we need money. People to pray over these things, pray over our kids, pray over us, pray over the ministry, because the devil doesn't want us doing this. For more information, you can go to our website, abhbooks.com. There's a donations page if you want to give. On the Give drop-down is a prayer calendar, and you can download the prayer calendar every month. We update that. We value that greatly. You can email us. There's a place on the website where you can contact us if you want to do volunteer work. If you want to get involved any other way, please contact us. We really appreciate your involvement, your interest in what we do. And just to bring it full circle, God brings beauty out of ashes. And this work that we're doing and what God is doing with it is completely come out of a place of complete ashes. And God has been so gracious to use us, to put us to work. Our lives didn't end when our spouses died. The Lord really brought us back to life, and He's given us great joy and blessing, and we're so thankful.